Commence primary ignition.
Hey, this is Katie O'Brien, and you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hey.
Hello there.
Hello, Ashlee. How are you?
Well as can be. How are you?
Yes, same. I'm glad it's a new month. I kind of need to just start fresh, kick the dust off my shoes.
Purge.
Move forward.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. Oh, welcome everybody. We see people creeping on.
Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone.
Another episode of Daughters of the Galaxy. I'm joined by the lovely Sarah Barnes once again this week.
No, thank you for having me. So excited.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, oh my gosh. So we're going to be diving into the second part of our Women of Andor dig-in. We did Marva and Edie and Dedra and Bix the week before last.
Last show.
The last live show we did.
Right.
So this week we're going to be delving into the rest of the ladies.
Picking up these ones are all kind of connected and interwoven in a way,
right?
In a surprising way, for me at least it was. So we decided to kind of try to cover all of them at the same time. Otherwise, it would be too difficult to try to pull them apart, separate them out.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see everybody coming in. We have Mark back in the chair for us. Thank you, Mark.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get everything up and running for me. Sorry, my phone is like, as Mark can attest to, it's like being crazy right now. So all of my notes are like, no, right now.
Yeah, they're just deciding not to work randomly. I had the same thing happen to my computer. I opened it up and it was like, no, you're not here. I was like, what?
Did it ask for a pin in Messenger?
Yes.
It did for me too.
I'm like,
my laptop.
I don't have a pin. What are you talking about? I'm like, and then my son's studying cybersecurity, and so my suspicion radar, my spidey senses immediately start tingling, and I'm like, what are you trying to? What data are you trying to scrape? I'm like,
what do you want?
And they're like one-time code. I'm like, a code for what? To where? I'm like, no, not happening. I'm backing out and starting over.
No, we're not doing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll start with a little bit of pop culture news and Star Wars news. Brand new animated short series, Tales of the Underworld.
I'm surprised.
Announced
today. That was kind of a shadow drop that came out of nowhere.
See, they've been listening to us talk about how much we love Asajj Ventress.
Oh, you maybe. I'm the other side. No, I know a lot of people are super excited about this, and she is quite an interesting character. But I have to admit, we were watching the micro series, and all the way back, almost 20 years ago, right away from the very beginning, Dooku had nothing but disrespect for our girl Asajj.
Seriously.
And I just looked at it and I was like, girl, like, come on, have a little self-respect. Like, they clearly do not appreciate you for who you are. How come it took you this long to figure it out? And you caused a whole bunch of problems and messed up a bunch of people. I'm like, come on, maybe get some therapy. Let's pick a different path, maybe, because nobody on the dark side is taking you seriously. And they never did. Her story ended up in quite an interesting twist by the time we got to the end. So
it looks like she has herself a little Padawan.
I'm fascinated to see where this is going to go. I didn't look at the trailer, so I'm really curious to see exactly what all these. Because is it the same format as before? We're 3 and 3,
right? So it's her story and Cad Bane's story.
Cad Bane, yeah.
So we get a little bit into the past of Cad Bane, which is kind of exciting because he's kind of the gunslinger. We don't really know too much about him other than he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to see if this is going to be, because I was pleasantly surprised by Tales of the Empire. I remember that. I have a personal bone to pick with Tales of the Jedi. So I was
think a lot of
pleasantly
people did.
surprised with
Definitely
Empire.
Jamie for sure. She was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Ugh."
Oh yeah, I was I was
Yeah.
right there with her. I was like, I hear you, girl. I hear you.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see how this one turns out.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I'm in full support of anything animation, so I'm trying not to let my personal feelings get in the way.
And I'm
It's a
over
great
there like
project. Super
zooming in
excited.
on
I
the
hope
poster.
everybody goes and sees it on May the 4th, right? Yeah,
Yeah. So
load
once
it up.
again, we get that on May the 4th. It's really exciting. Check out the Star Wars social media pages for the trailer
Mhm.
and the poster. It looks amazing. And I love how they use that giant credit sign in the background. Like, these guys are all about the money. It's fine.
Give me the money, Some
Bounty hunters.
days I get that perspective. Some days I understand that feeling.
I'm kind of surprised. I thought there would be like more bounty hunters involved, like maybe like Aura Singh and something, but maybe it's like after that. So it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if it's woven in small ways. I mean, that's the only hard thing that I find with these short episodes is it doesn't really have a lot of time to build or bring
Oh
in
yeah, yeah.
extraneous bits. Yeah,
And then we get to the end of it and we're like, oh, that's it?
that's it. I have to wait another year for anything
God,
else.
not even in the same vein. What the crap? No,
Yep.
but I really feel like they listen to us, so that's good. Me and
I
Mark
hope
have been like,
so.
we need a
I hope so.
massage, something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. She's
just give it to
definitely
us.
got quite the following. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Oh man. Mark. Okay, so Mark says nothing but tech problems this week all around, and it just instantly reminded of the photo of Michelle Ang wearing the Tech Lives T-shirt. Just like, oh, my feels.
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
I,
still in the feels for that
I
one.
get. Yeah,
I'll
I
never
can't.
be okay.
I'll never see that word the same way again. It just doesn't.
John says I'm still advocating for Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Yeah, I mean it's still entirely possible. The exploits of Bosk, uh, Denmark, and IG-88. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm all for
Dengar.
it.
I think he meant to say Dengar.
Yeah, I
It
was
just
like,
autocorrect definitely
I
took
was like,
over on that
I
one.
don't know much about bounty hunters, but I didn't realize there was a Denmark out there. I felt
Cool.
for it, John. I was in it. I was like, I was picking up what you were setting down there. So
We know what you mean. Yeah. Also, we had some really sad news this morning. As some of you may know, I am a huge fan of Val Kilmer. He is my favorite Batman.
Mm,
It was announced that he passed away yesterday at the age of 65
mm.
due to complications from pneumonia. As a daughter of my father had throat cancer when I was 12. He was a throat cancer survivor like Val.
Yeah.
Um, as you get older and you go through the radiation treatment, it saps your salivary glands. And in Val's case, he had a trach,
Mm.
and he had opted for his voice box to be removed so he could continue to eat and do that. And my dad had that option as well, but it makes you so susceptible to pneumonia, and
Oh no.
it's what happened to my dad, and
Oh.
it was really heartbreaking to get that news. But we
Mm.
send our condolences to the
Absolutely.
family and friends of Val
Absolutely.
Kilmer and Iceman,
Fans unite
Mad
around the world.
Mardigan.
Mad
Yeah.
Mardigan and Chris Knight in Real
Yes.
Genius. I wore out at least a couple of VHS tapes with that movie on it growing up.
Gay Perry. I watched
Oh,
that for the first time a few years ago, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and it's hilarious. I love that movie so much. Like
it is. It's
him
yeah.
and Robert Downey Jr. are just taking turns chewing the scenery in that crazy movie, and I totally
It was
loved it.
bonkers. It really
Absolutely
was. Yeah.
bonkers. So
Yeah. And the
yeah.
Saint, we were talking about
Oh
I'd
my
forgotten that
gosh.
he was in the Saint, and I was like, wow.
One
I
of the
just mm,
very first, like, well, not very first, but up there, like the taking like comic book properties and putting them on screen, and like a lesser known comic. It's kind of cool.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
I've
it's a good.
always been a fan of that fringe stuff,
Oh
even in
yeah.
in the age of big superhero movies, the ones that are less well known before they're, brought to light. Those are the ones
Sure.
those
Yeah.
are the ones I gravitate towards. So, yeah.
Exactly. I know that he had been at, I think it was his last con appearance. It was Terrificon at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut in
Mm.
2019, and I was there, and I was like trying to work up the nerve to like go over, but I was like, oh my god, his autograph is. I was like, I just want to like meet him and just say hi and like be like, I'm glad you're doing well, and I didn't, I couldn't work up the courage to do it because
Oh,
he was like, it's Bruce Wayne, it's Batman forever. I love this guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't go over, and I'm kicking myself in the butt. But
No.
yeah,
Oh.
Doc Holliday. I loved him in
I love
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
It's,
Love
yeah.
Tombstone. And I don't know, The Ghost in the Darkness. My husband and I
Oh,
were obsessed with that movie. We watched it so many times when we were first married.
it's such a crazy
It is. We
movie.
had to when Chicago was hosting Celebration, we had to go to the Field Museum because we had to go see the Lions because that's in the movie.
That worked out.
And
I
when we
didn't
were
know
in
that.
and when we were, it's right at the end, and he's like, the Lions are in the Field Museum in Chicago, Illinois. And it's like that's always stuck in our head. And so
Oh,
of course
that's
we
wild.
had to drag the kids, and we were like, this is it right here. And they're like, we're like, we'll show you the movie someday. You'll understand why this is
You'll
cool.
get it later. It's cool.
But of course, what absolutely threw me is when we went to see them, they were lionesses.
They
Because
weren't like male lions?
no, in the original story, it was females, but they changed them to male lions in the movie. Yep. And
Like,
when we were
males
in
don't really
Derry,
hunt. The
they don't
females hunt.
exactly. That's why it was the lionesses, because the males don't, and they certainly don't hunt in pairs.
Are they like yeah, there's like one male per pride for that reason.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
do you not do your like
They
the
just figured that they
research?
weren't scary enough looking if they didn't have big manes and big muscles. And when we
Big
were in
teeth.
Derry, Northern Ireland, we actually saw a mural all about that movie.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
it was fun. So yeah, we have all these connections to it, and I spent a lot of today thinking about that, thinking about it.
I loved the documentary. It's on Prime Val that
Yes.
his son Jack did the voiceover for it, and it's
Hmm.
just really powerful and really fun to like see him like messing with like his co-stars and
Yeah.
going through all these giant boxes and seeing scripts and rolls of
Yeah,
film
and
and
he's
stuff like
been
that.
in camera work since he was like in middle school or
Yeah.
something. Like it goes all the way back. He's
Like
always been
and
interested
when
in
you're a kid, like you get yourself like a little 8mm camera, and you like
that.
run around like pretending you're a superhero or you're in an alien planet when you're a kid, and it just goes from there.
Yeah,
And yeah, definitely watch that documentary if you haven't. It's so good.
agreed. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, so sad day for that, and
Mhm.
maybe at peace.
Agreed.
But
Rest in
we
power.
do have a little bit more housekeeping.
Mhm.
We got our VCN lineup for today, or this week, I should say.
Mhm.
Um, we're gonna just delve into this real quick. So the VCN watch along is tomorrow night. It's season 1, episode 11 of Andor, and it's a rewatch. So make sure you join into that if you want to watch the Daughters of
So
Ferrix.
Ferrex. Mhm.
Ah,
You might see
so
some
good.
familiar faces.
Yeah, yeah. Saturday, we're gonna be going full tilt into Celebration because, girl, it's 2
It's
weeks away.
almost here. I can't believe it. I feel like it's been on the horizon forever. I
Yeah,
can't. Yeah, and it's the fact that it's actually finally here. The energy is just palpable. The people that are getting so excited to go, and they're downloading apps on their phone and
getting their
coordinating and
reservations and
mhm.
the
Mhm.
FOMO is gonna be real, guys. I'm telling you. So,
Yeah.
as Mark says, the news desk is back this Saturday. It'll be Gary O'Toole from Blab of the Hut and Mark Von Olin from VCN talking Celebration. So they're gonna take a
Yeah.
deep dive into what to expect.
Yep.
Any questions about panels, photo ops, anything, they're your guys,
That's the
and they'll be
place to go.
yeah,
Mhm.
they'll be guiding you. So make sure you check that out. It's Saturday, April 5th at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It'll be a lot of fun. And then Jedi Archives is back on Sunday with the High Republic Adventures 2025 annual. So
Oh,
that'll be
wow.
on
Okay.
Sunday at 1 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So I'm excited. That's going
Got
to be
it.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also have a couple of new signers for us at the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition.
One
As you
of them
saw in
we
the
saw as the
beginning,
intro to the show.
yeah. Good old Katie O'Brien. Oh, she's such a peach. I love her so much. She's going to be signing for us at the Not So Virtual Cantina special event um, in Japan, which is sold out, but make sure you try to get in line for the hyperspace ticket.
Yes.
It'll be first come, first serve between 7 and 9. We also have as another featured signer Kiriana Cratter, our
Yeah.
girl KB from the Skeleton Crew. She'll
So
be joining us
exciting.
as well.
I loved that character.
Yeah, so many other behind the scenes people. We have Fawn Davis. Oh,
Mhm.
there's the hyperspace ticket.
There we go.
One comes out, one comes in. Open bar, 7 to 9, $50 via PayPal or Venmo, and it's all brought to you by Hyperspace Props. So
Yeah,
they have all your Sabak cards and credits
they
for your
do.
gaming
That's a
needs.
good time. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I still need to learn how to play Sabak properly. I kind of suck at it.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
Lando would have like drained all my finances at this
Oh,
point.
we absolutely would have. We got to find entry level players to play with, yeah, because basically
I am the entry level player.
Exactly, and we
Like,
need
I'm
more people
terrible.
with our skill level, right? I mean, the
So
reassuring thing is that it's no, I really can't.
yes, you really can.
It was dumb luck, honestly. I promise,
one
absolute
time.
dumb luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the fancy cards combinations and everything. You hardly ever get there, and then you're spending time building this hand, and then somebody wipes it all out, and it's like, okay, I might as well just bet on random chance and get lucky.
It's like, when do you get to a point where you just stop thinking and you just do, and then it's like,
Mhm.
oh.
Well, and the guy who was teaching us, he was like, "You really need to work on your poker face." I'm like, "I have a good poker face. The problem is that this is like the 8th round in a row, and my score is -1 in every
Oh.
possible combination it was to get it. That's all I kept getting, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. Can I get a different card, please?" So if I can survive a couple rounds of Sabak, anybody can.
Lando would have had the wrist thing.
Oh, I know. I'm like, well, now I get it. Now I understand why you have to have one of those, because trying to get a decent hand and just randomly is
It's not working.
Next to no. Yep.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. I'm terrible in Sabak, so we won't even get into like my horribleness on that. But yeah, so tonight we're gonna keep moving along.
Mhm.
We have more Daughters of the Galaxy.
Diving into my favorite character in Andor. I can't wait.
Yes. So we're gonna start it off with the big gun.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna jump right into her. Mon Mothma.
Genevieve O'Reilly, goddess.
I
All
was
hail.
not expecting it to delve so deep into the struggle that Mon Mothma had in not only like trying to keep the Senate together when Palpatine was just like ripping everything apart and kind of molding everything to his will. Like, she was literally the last line of defense for the Senate, and she's trying to kind of, I don't want to say, oh, maybe I do, fund a rebellion.
Yeah. I did you watch the behind the scenes stuff that they released with Tony Gilroy? Did
I
you watch
watched
that?
part of it because I had to work. But
Okay, I would highly recommend going back and watching it, because one of the people that they brought on to interview was Genevieve O'Reilly.
Oh yeah, I had to send that to Mark. I was
Did
on
you
my way.
okay.
I was on my way into work when it was on, and then I'm like, Mark, it's your girl, and I just kind of
she was stunning.
He
and I
agrees, Nick.
just yes, absolutely. I was intrigued that this character was being added. I was always annoyed that she got cut out of episode 3, because I'm a big fan of continuity. And so to have that connection back to the original trilogy would have been really great. It's nice that we have the deleted scenes, but it really should have been part of the movie.
Oh yeah.
And then to pop up in Rogue One, I was like, oh my God, look. And then to hear her in Rebels, and it was just like, it keeps coming. And then she was in Andor, and then it was really, really impressive to me the way that they filled out this character, because it was always just sort of, I kind of want to say, like, on the pedestal kind of character, right? She's this general, and she's and she's a senator, and all these high positions, but then to actually get down into the nitty gritty and the muck of her life in Andor was just, it was fascinating. I couldn't look away. Like, every time she came on the screen, I was like, oh boy, now what?
So we learn about Mon's life. Like, she has a husband who just kind of.
But she's been married since like 15.
Yeah.
Or
So
something
in
like
their
that.
culture, like, arranged marriages are a thing.
Mm.
And, you can definitely tell that they had an arranged marriage, and
They talk about it, yeah. And I
yeah.
mean, especially I kind of got the impression from like the aristocracy
Mhm.
of the planet. Like it's an old tradition, kind of like royal families in countries in Europe. Like there's just
Right.
ways you do things. But in conversations that come out with other characters that we'll get to later, um, later in the show, it's kind of like the modern day Chandrilan people have kind of moved away from that, in the last 20, 30 plus years since she and Perrin got married. Is just, you don't really do that anymore. It's kind of almost the way arranged marriages are in our modern day world here
Right.
on Earth. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, that's a thing, but not really.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can tell that as much as he thinks it's okay because, "Hey, it worked for us," like, kind of thing, she doesn't want that for her daughter because she wants her daughter to be able to make the choice and decide for herself where she
Yeah.
wants her future to go, and
I kind of
it
got the impression. See, it's interesting because I kind of got the impression that there's just not a lot that bothers Perrin overall. Like
Yeah,
he's just kind of one of those whatever kind of
yeah.
people. As long as I'm having a good time, I
When
don't
he's
care
got
what's
a lot of
happening.
yeah, when he's got a lot of money, he's got not a lot of worries,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it looks like they've been kind of, like, reaping the benefits of her status as a senator and his status as whatever he
Arm
does.
candy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of also got that impression that as far as being parents, he's the guy who wants to be the fun parent.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure, whatever you want to do. I don't care. Be late to school.
Yeah.
We'll have a day off. And then what I found fascinating that I didn't realize until I started doing more deep dives into the show was that entire like ceremony that was going on in the main dining room in their penthouse, in their wherever they're at, the
Yeah.
embassy where they live. That was an old tradition
Huh.
that their daughter, Lita, did all by herself. She went out, she found an elder, and she made this ceremony happen. And Mon actually says it's the only thing that she's ever been on time for in her whole life. Like she's super excited about it. So she's digging up these old ancient traditions. And her mom knew nothing about it until it was happening in her dining room. And her dad was like, whatever, I don't care. But it was actually, we see her when they're in there, they're chanting all that stuff. That is actually the ceremony that when it's done, announces to Chandrilan culture that the daughter is now accepting marriage proposals.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
it doesn't
her
really go into explanation for it, so we
Mm-mm.
don't
You can
really.
kind of hear it as you start once you know that you can start listening to the conversation that's going
Yeah.
on and you're like, "Whoa." But that just blew me away because I was like, her daughter just ran off and did this. She went fundy all by herself
Oh my god.
and
Right?
leapt in and she's like and she's all excited about it and she's all glowing and she's all thrilled and the dad's like, "Yeah, whatever." And Mom's like, "Ugh,
I was
no."
like, "Is she kind of falling into a cult?" Like, that's just what it felt
That's
like
what I
for
thought it
me.
was at first, but yeah, kind of. She is putting herself on the marriage market
On the
at
market,
this
yeah.
very tiny age, and there was nothing her parents could do to stop it. Like she
Hell
did
no.
it, and and so they were like, and I think that at least for me kind of puts what happens at the end of the season into a whole nother perspective.
Oh, for
She's
sure.
already put herself out there.
But to be fair, like, Perrin just kind of, like, goes for status.
Mhm.
Like, he's all about the status, like, "Oh, yeah,
I agree.
whatever connects us with wealthy families, whatever keeps
Yep.
us settled in this certain type of life that we are all accustomed to."
Yeah, he
We're
doesn't have any morals on, where the money might come from or what kind of a person is behind it.
and I
Um,
think that's what makes it easier for Mon to do what she does in this season.
well, my husband said the really interesting thing the last watch through that we did when we took our youngest son through Andor is you get to that scene where the door opens and the infamous introduction is happening that we've been fighting over this whole time, and you can actually see just like complete blank faces when Mon and Perrin look at each other over the daughter's head, kind of behind her shoulders. And he said, you can tell that even though they probably don't agree on anything, they agree this is not good. This is not
Mm,
what we would have
no.
wanted for
There's a
her.
level of
Because
panic.
they're miserable in
Yeah,
their marriage.
exactly.
You know?
Mark says that girl is
She is
trouble.
big trouble. And so I kind of that once I started to learn more about what was going on here, it sort of started to drain my sympathy away. And I was like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, the
Even
girl
now, yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah, she
the
just
girl threw
kind of.
herself on the marriage mart. I'm like, all I agreed to was an introduction. And I get enough money to save my own ass and fund the rebellion. I'm like, fine, go ahead, meet the little
Yeah.
twerp, see if I care. You know, like they're gonna listen to her anyway, you know.
And ultimately, I think that's just kind of what Mon thinks about at first. But
Hmm.
then she realizes that, okay, it might not be as easy to do this as I think it would be.
Well, I think that nothing ever is, right?
Yeah,
Like we tell
especially with this.
ourselves it's
It's like
just an
some kind of
introduction.
shell game.
It'll be fine. It's just an introduction. Okay, yeah, but what happens if the girl likes the kid? And then where are we? Right? And you never
No.
intended for that to happen, but she's made herself available. You allowed the introduction as her parent, and then what are you going to do? Take it back? You know? Yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those slippery slope things where like you could look back at it and then like, oh, if I'd have just done that one thing differently. But
It's
honestly, I don't think that there's anything else that she could have done at that point. I
Yeah,
really don't.
exactly. And it just goes to show, like, you think about it in the original trilogy, we see bare minimum of Mon Mothma. She's
Hmm.
fascinating. We know she's powerful, but that's it. We don't really see anything else about her until, as you said,
Hmm.
Andor and everything, and Rogue One and Rebels.
Hmm.
It's I find it astounding that they've been able to pull so much out of it to make her the powerful leader that commands that kind of respect in the original trilogy, and
Yeah.
kind of add in as all the whys and the hows to the back of
What
it.
she must have had to have gone through to be
Yeah,
this senator who built a false persona
and I
where
know a
she
lot of
looked
people.
meek and wishy-washy,
Yeah,
but behind it, Luthen couldn't do what he had done if she wasn't putting the money up in Coruscant. I mean, like
exactly.
she was a part of this whole thing. And I loved the comments that Tony Gilroy was making when they were flashing the scene between Perrin and Mon and the dad, Tim Cart. No, what was his name? The that she was making the deal for the money with. He
Oh,
was the
oh God, I'm blanking on his name.
Skulden.
Scolded.
Was that it? Yeah, Dave,
Yeah.
Davo Skulden.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Let me just go here and find
Yeah,
it.
Davo. I don't know how you say that. Yeah, his last name was Skulden. But it was the three of them, right? And they're sitting on this round couch, and they're far apart from each other. And Tony kept going on and on about what incredibly he kept talking about people that if you're really into directing or understanding directing, or you're someone who watches that kind of stuff, he's like, this scene was so incredibly difficult to do because you have three people that are sitting nowhere near each other, and they're not moving, they're not getting up, they're not walking around, they're not fidgeting, they're not pacing, and all you have to go on is the strength of the actors
Mhm.
and how much, and that's it. And he's like, this scene is incredibly powerful, and it all centers on
Tense.
Genevieve O'Reilly, right? The three of them together, right? And everything that they're doing. Oh, and it wasn't Perrin, it was Tay, wasn't it?
Mhm.
It was Tay Colma. And he just gushed about this scene and what an incredible character Mon was and how well she was portrayed by Genevieve O'Reilly, and that it would work with just any actor.
Oh, for sure.
The fact that they're just sitting there just shooting looks at each other and like all these double entendres and these layers of pressure and stress, and that they just pull it off in a masterclass. And I think we see that repeatedly over and over and over again with Mon Mothma. And so I'm really excited for season 2 to see where it's going to go and how it's all going to end up. Well, we know how it's going to end up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we won't talk about what we've seen so far in the trailer
Well,
because
my son already kind of spoiled it. He was like, well, there was a wedding in the trailer. I'm like, dude, come on. Not fair. Not fair.
I thought he knew that you don't watch this stuff. Like, it just
He does. He doesn't care. My kids are all into full on spoilers. They're like, get over it, mom. And I'm like,
so rude.
yeah.
So
Hi, Kay. How are
Hi,
you?
Kay.
Waves. Welcome.
Yeah, with Mon Mothma, I'm hoping in season 2, and based on what I've seen, I'm sorry if he spoiled it for you.
That's okay. That's
um,
all right.
I'm hoping we do get to see like a snippet of and I know they don't want to do cameos for cameo's sake, but
Mhm.
I want them to kind of see like, oh, I know a pilot. I'll help you get out of here safely. It's on a ship that can hide its signature. Like I want some
Mm.
kind of like the reason why they chose the Ghost crew to get Mon Mothma to safety.
Yeah.
I want that.
That to me would make sense, continuity wise, rather than just randomly pulling it
Oh,
out
for
of
sure.
nowhere.
Okay. For sure.
Agreed. Agreed. Yes. Even with a bratty teenage daughter, she's still a queen.
Yeah, and I guess she kind of understands that it's with the rebellion, it's shit or get off the pot. Like you really have to make your move. You can't be
Yeah.
hiding behind the Senate because the Senate doesn't exist anymore.
Well,
Palpatine has dismantled that.
yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes is between her and Luthen when she finally realizes how much the noose is tightening on her, that
Mhm.
she has gone out there and she has done this and there's no going back. There's no changing your
Yeah.
mind. There's no returning the money, none of that. And that she is being told unequivocally by people who know the Empire is coming after you. And if they
And
can
it's
prove
scary when
that
she
this
like
money is missing, you're going to prison if you're lucky, lady, you know.
it's
Um,
scary when she blamed her husband for that.
Oh, that was good. That
I
was
was like,
so satisfying.
oh, I mean,
I was
think about
like,
it. You
"God,
essentially
yes."
just sold your daughter into marriage. Like he's totally on board with the whole arranged marriage thing, and she was just adamantly against it. And it's just
Yep.
like, oh, okay. You know what? If he's fine, if he's gonna be all nonchalant about this chaos, it's his fault. He
Yep.
took the money.
Yeah. He absolutely, I agree. Perrin absolutely deserved
Aaron
it.
deserved it.
And it was a
Yes.
master class because she
I
knew
didn't
the
see that
driver
coming.
was listening. She knew the driver was listening and she had made comments about it before. And so to bring it back in, and he, of course,
Mhm.
always denied it before. And so that's going to explain why this money suddenly disappeared. And then the money suddenly came back. It was because of his gambling problems. So that gives her plausibility. It gets the ISB offer back.
Mhm.
And it's like at that point, I don't really feel like she had any other choice, you know? Um,
For sure. And I do feel bad for her because it's like her family is literally splintering before her eyes in this point, and it's like, okay, well, I'm sure you doing this isn't helping the situation, but she didn't have a choice. Yeah, Perrin has
Lita,
been
yeah.
plotting Lita against her for a while now too. Yeah, again,
Yeah, it
any way to
just
stay rich in uncertain times, he was doing it.
yeah, and I just feel like, I don't have a daughter, but I did have teenagers. And I know that it's a real struggle when one or both of them at a given age suddenly decides that everything you have to say is pointless and stupid. And it doesn't
Been there.
matter if you try to tell them the truth, if you try to be honest with them, and I just that she always is fawning over her father and that she just has such vitriol for her mother on everything, regardless. Doesn't matter. 99% of it, everything Mon Mothma has to say is stupid and dumb and pointless. And I'm just like, how can you look at one of the most selfish human beings on the planet and be like, oh, that guy's totally cool? And then look at this woman who's dedicated her life to helping people in the Senate and are like, oh, you're such a loser. I'm like, your wires crossed, sweetheart. Like, what is going on
Like,
here?
yeah,
So
she's daddy's side of the coin for sure, and I think
yeah.
that's going to
And
bite
I think
some
that
of
has to
the
be
butt.
so hard for Mon as a parent. You want to be able to connect with your daughter and you want to be able to get to that point with your child where they've
Yeah.
moved past that and that you kind of come to a more mature understanding. And then she goes and throws herself on the marriage market. And you're like,
Okay,
oh,
I can't
okay.
save you now.
Right?
Nope.
It's like, okay, honey, you're gonna go do whatever it is you want to do, but I guess maybe I'm gonna save my own butt and the rebellion at the same time and take
Yeah,
advantage of that. So
'cause why not? Um, so ac with the next one on the list, we have, our girl Vel.
was gonna say completing the broken family dynamic
Yeah.
here. We have Vel Sartha.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, so Vel, as we find out in
Mhm.
their secret meetings, is Mon Mothma's cousin.
Yeah. So we first meet her on Eldani,
Mhm.
wearing sheep herder clothes and stomping around and yelling and swearing at Luthen
But
and
she's a
like
fancy Chandrillan. Don't
Yeah,
let her lie to
okay.
you.
So did that surprise you?
Oh,
Because that's one of
totally.
the things that I missed from a
Totally.
trailer. Excuse me. Sorry. I hope you guys can't hear that. My cats are thundering around in the background here. They've got the zoomies. I
It's the
apologize.
cat life. We just
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Nothing's, we're not being invaded by stormtroopers. It's just my cats. Don't worry. Yeah, that
Murder
threw me for a loop. At first, when I saw her walking around on Coruscant, I was like, ooh, maybe this is like some undercover mission, something
Yeah, and
for.
she's very well dressed, so
Yeah,
it was
and then
kind
she's
of
like, "Oh, I want to meet Luth," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's totally what she's doing there." Then she shows up in Mon Mothma's house, and I almost fell off the couch. I was
I was like, "Is she there to kill her?" Like, I thought
what's
she was on,
happening?
like,
What's
an
happening? What's
assassination
happening?" And then they
mission.
were like,
Yeah.
"Aunt Val or cousin Val," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
What?
"Oh, I get the little rich girl comments now. Oh
Yeah.
man."
Mm. Okay. My cats are doing that the other day. My daughter legit thought it was thunder. Yeah, I have a tiny little 6-pound calico who sounds like a herd of elephants
That's
plowing through the
funny.
hallway. Just her, no
That's
other cat.
funny.
That's it.
My Ahsoka, she had to have some dental work done.
Aw.
And so she's feeling much better now. We did not know she was having teeth problems, and now that they've been pulled, she's 8+ years old, and she's running around here like she's 3. And she's a solid 12-pound girl,
Stop.
so she makes all the noises.
She's like, "I'm free, damn
Oh
it."
yeah, she's super excited, and the younger cat Rex is like, "Woohoo! I have somebody to play with." Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Mark
was.
says Belle Sartha is fantastic. We need to see more of her next season. Yeah, I'm really excited to see her and Cinta come back and what happens with them.
That was quite an interesting dynamic, wasn't it? I
Yeah.
kept going back and forth trying to decide, is she really into the rebellion or is she into the rebellion because of Cinta? Like, did they meet when they were already recruited,
Mhm.
or like that whole dynamic of it, right? Like, did they meet
Yeah.
and fall in love afterwards, or did she fall in love with Cinta elsewhere and then Cinta drew her in to the like? I'm just fascinated, right? Like, I want to know all the dirt. I want to
Yeah,
know the
it
tea. Spill the
doesn't
tea.
right say in Wikipedia. It says she led a team of rebels, which included her partner Cinta Kaz, on a mission to steal an imperial payroll from the army of the garrison on the planet Eldani. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of yeah, okay. Sorry. We're simpatico here. We're on the same wavelength. Is Val completely committed to the rebellion? Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think I mean, she definitely put it all on the line in Eldani,
Mhm.
I mean, she felt very in, but then it was like, okay, well, I did my job. I'm done now. You want to go on vacation? Like,
Like,
when they end
let's
up in
go.
Ferrix, she's like, oh, come on, isn't there something else we could be doing? So I don't know. Yeah.
I think she just kind of uses it to escape the life on Chandrilla, the boring, wealthy to do life, just to like kind
Yeah.
of like the princess and the pauper kind of thing, just
I kind
sneaking
of
out.
picked and this may just be projection. I don't know, because it's sort of how I feel, that I get the injustice of it. Like, she does not agree with the traditional Chandrilan culture, which is what comes out in her conversation with Mon when Lita is over there doing all of that crazy, like, what are you doing? You're not actually taking proposals, are you? And Mon's like, I didn't do this. It's her. She did it all herself. I can't stop her.
Oh
You
yeah.
know? Like, what are you doing? Like, we hate this. We decided we were never going to do this. And she's like, I'm well aware. This is not what I wanted for her. It's her choice. It's her decision. Um, I think she really has always chafed against the way Chandrilla has been for her, like, being
Right.
from that aristocracy kind of family. And then when things got worse, when the Republic fell and the Empire grew, I think it was kind of one of those things like, I have to do something. And then I agree,
Yeah,
Sherry. Yeah, I was like,
totally.
"Ooh, that's what that comment means." And especially when you're fighting with someone that you're in a relationship with, you're like, "Okay, is that just a low blow? Is that just mean? Or is that really?"
Yeah, I thought it was like, okay, she had been on so many heists that she had just kind of or so
Mhm.
many missions that she just had money. But then it all made sense when she showed up in, Mon's
Yeah.
living room and it's like, uh, okay. Oh, they're family? All right, cool.
Yeah, and then you also kind of have to wonder, is that I mean, that there aren't lots of instances. I mean, Perrin is a really good one, that people who have money are just layabouts and don't really commit to anything and don't really have any sense of moral compass. But does that immediately preclude someone from being dedicated and involved in the cause?
For sure.
And then, it was funny because I was comparing Vel and Cinta in my most recent watch through. And then I thought about, Hera and Kanan. Do you have to forego all forms of relationship or attachment in order to be in the rebellion? Isn't that sort of a Jedi kind of thing? I mean, like, I get that Cinta says this has to come first. Okay, well, there is such a thing as being maybe a little too overboard and a little too gung-ho about things as well. If you lose your humanity, then what are you fighting for?
Exactly.
So I loved that.
To fight.
Yeah, I loved that. Yeah, which is one of my favorite lines from episode 8 when Rose talks about that is like, you're not just there to throw yourself on the fire. You're not just there to expend your life, because otherwise you're no better than the Empire. Like, we have to remember what we're fighting for.
You would think that when you have a situation, and we see it in the sequel trilogy with Rose and Finn, like, we don't just fight for what we have. We fight for who we love.
Yep.
And it gets to that point, and I think it was kind of lost on Kanan and Hera in that point as well, because Hera was so focused on like the rebellion and being a good general and getting everything done and saving Lothal, saving Ryloth, breaking the blockade, stopping Thrawn's TIE Defender program. And Kanan just, he's had so little good in his life.
So much loss. Yeah.
And so much loss that he wants to do everything he can to preserve what he has. And I think that's what makes it so sad. And I hope it doesn't go that way with Cinta and Vel as well. Because Vel comes from a place where, like, okay, I've got everything, I'm bored, I'm gonna go do this. And she finds love along the way. And then Cinta, who's, obviously come from an area of struggle, knows loss, knows need, and she meets Vel and they bond, and it's like, I'm gonna hang on to you. Like, this is this really worth all this? Like, are you willing to like throw this all away just for this?
Yeah.
And it's the parallels, as you said, between the two it's never heard it put it that way before, but it's pretty solid. So yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously her and Kanan got together enough because we get little Jason out of it. But yeah, so obviously she wasn't completely always putting the rebellion 100% first. There were other moments as well. So
I think they're fun little moments where they like go back to Lothal and they wear the fun clothes. It's just
and to me that was kind of like what Vel was asking for. You know what I mean? Like, they were all in and they were really focused for months and months on the ground in Aldhani, and they pulled it off and they succeeded, and they lost someone, and maybe we take a breath and we take a step back, and she's like, nope, no, here I'm in it, and I'm in Ferrix and I'm obsessed and I'm in it, and she's like, yo, do you ever just take a breath and take a step back? And then that immediate snarky comments, coming back around, and I was like, little prickly there. Maybe Vel's got a point that sometimes it is possible to get a little too driven and a little too focused, and you lose the forest for the trees, kind of thing. Yeah. But I can't wait. I unfortunately, between Rogue One and Andor, I don't think Tony's going to give us very many happy endings. By the time we get to the end of it, I'm not holding my breath. I'm pretty much expecting everything to end in catastrophe, so that if I'm given a bright little kernel of happiness at the end, I'll just be grateful.
Can't we just have a smidge of that? Like, I'm just so
I was just
tired.
destroyed at the end of Rogue One. I was like, you have to be kidding me. And my husband was like, well, it's the only way you would never have heard of any of these characters is if they were all dead. And I'm like, look, I understand the logic behind it. That doesn't mean I like it.
Don't tell us these facts, man. They're not cool.
Yeah.
Just trying to go through all of it.
Oh, yeah. That Mark.
These ladies don't survive. I'm gonna throw a chair. Mark, you throw a chair. I'm just gonna be like,
okay. I'll make sure I'm not in the same room with Mark when we're watching Andor.
I'm gonna go to Galaxy's Edge and just rage. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, when we get to like Cinta, Cinta, she's from. It doesn't really say what she's from. It says she's from the Access Network, the Eldani Rebel Infiltration Team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she does have a really good quote here. Um, it says, "I told you up front the struggle will always come first. We take what's left. I'm a mirror, Vel. You love me because I show you what you need to see."
Mm.
So again,
Interesting.
as we said, Vel is all on board because she's the bored little rich girl. She's comes from money, and
Mm-hmm.
Cinta has been in the fight. She's gotten her hands dirty, and it's like, oh, I want to be part of this. Like it's the difference between the two, and I think Vel sees in Cinta what she wants to be herself. Like that's why they get along so well. It's like, oh, this is someone I aspire to be. It's not just someone I'm in love with,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of makes me sad because I'm like,
Yeah.
this feels just full of doom, and I don't like it.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I really am glad because I always remember the first half of that quote about that the struggle comes first. And then I always forget about the second half. And one of the things that I really took from that is that Cinta uses herself as a reminder to Vel of what we're actually fighting for. It's
Yeah.
easy to go back to Coruscant and it's easy to let these things go because you have that option, you have that privilege, and like we don't really know much about Cinta's past or her family or what planet she's from, but it's possible she literally has nowhere else to go. But the reason she is the job and she does the job and that's all she focuses on is because that's literally all she has. She doesn't get that opportunity to be able to take a step back and have a breather. And so, yeah, that's what she means. She reminds Vel, she's like, well, good for you. You have that choice. I don't, and I'm not going to pretend like I do just because we are in a relationship. So,
Yeah, and she definitely reminded her that, like, look, we knew what this was going to be when we started this. We knew that the rebellion was what we were fighting for. It came first. And as much as Vel now wants to run away, like, Cinta is like, no,
yeah.
like, you've always known that this was the deal. It's happening like this.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But as someone who was a military spouse for 26 years, I can tell you that just because you signed up for it at the beginning doesn't mean there aren't moments that you don't want to walk away from it in the middle.
Yeah, when you're
So
on
I
your,
feel
like,
like, and
third
sometimes you,
deployment and
yeah, and like sometimes you do just need
Yeah.
to unplug, right? Sometimes you do
Yeah.
just need to take a step back away from the world. And so at some point, I would love if even just for a minute, Vel's able to turn those tables a little bit and actually get sent to take a step back and breathe. I mean, did anybody even take a minute to mourn the loss of Karis? I
No,
mean, that's the
it's
thing. And it's
on to
like,
the
if
next.
you keep stuffing and stuffing and stuffing and stuffing those things, it's gonna, it messes with your body, it messes with your mind, it messes with everything. And sometimes, even if it's just take a night off and go to the pub and toast your fallen comrade, you got to give yourself those minutes. You really have
Yeah.
to. So I was 100% with Cinta, when she was saying these things to Vel, because it was
Yeah.
shortly after we learned that she was, Mon Mothma's cousin and just this,
Mhm.
Shellen Drillin, fallen angel kind of thing, slumming it with the with the normies
With
out
the
of the,
normies.
right. Yeah. But the more I think back on it, I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. But, you can also take a bloody night off,
Yeah, like,
you can
calm
quit,
the
your
hell down.
creeping and watching the weirdo Empire torture chamber across the street for a night, it's not gonna, yeah. So,
Yeah, but, I'm curious to see, again, where they're gonna go and, what it means for them, and I swear to God, like, just give them a story I can be proud of. I know you will, Tony Gilroy, but
yeah.
if they're gonna have to go out, just do it in a
I
way
and
that
I
would be
and I
like
and I think that was probably what really helped me the most about it was watching the behind the scenes thing where he talks about that for him, one of the things he really worked to try to avoid in Andor, both season 1 and 2, was that it's so frustrating when you're watching, a particularly a long-term character, like someone that you've known for a while, a favorite character in one of your favorite TV shows or whatever, and you're watching their IQ go up and down and up and down and up and down as they're yanked around by different episode writers in order to, torment them into what they need to happen
Yeah.
in this episode. And I was like, I never heard anybody so clearly explain that before. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. That's what irritates me when that happens. And
Yeah.
even with a certain character that went from animation to live action, I was pulling my hair out. I was so frustrated. I was
Are we
so
talking
upset.
Thrawn?
No, we're talking Sabine.
Oh.
The first couple of episodes of Ahsoka, I was so mad. I was not throwing chairs. I was throwing pillows around, and I was stomping and I was shouting, and my whole family was like, "Calm down." And I'm like, "This is just." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I can't articulate it." And now I'm like, "Ha ha ha ha." That's it. That's it right there. You know, I said I can't stand it when suddenly these characters that we've known for years and however many dozens of episodes, they start doing something that's completely out of character.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yeah, but she went through this and went through that. And I was like, yeah, but it's still bugging me. And that's what it was. Sabine was never stupid.
Yeah.
She was always brilliant. Did she always make good decisions? No, of course not.
No.
Did she always make decisions that I agreed with? No, but they were always smart. It was always the same level of intelligence. And then all of a sudden she's doing all of these derpy, stupid, moronic things at the beginning of Ahsoka. And I'm like, what?
That gave me so much stress because it's
And
like,
I was like, no.
Sabine is an Imperial Academy cadet.
Yes.
She is a
she's
brilliant.
She's not going to put down a giant blaster and go take a lightsaber chasing down a bad guy. She's a Mandalorian. She's going to get more weapons. She's not going to not take the rifle with her. She's going to shoot that little Sith acolyte, whatever, right in the face. I'm like, this is dumb. So my hope is that if that's Tony's mindset, that whatever happens with Vel and Cinta, they're still going to have the same level of intelligence that we've come to respect from them. Their bravery, their mindset, their personalities are going to stay the same, even if I don't get the ending that I want. They're still going to be them, and we're not going to have any sudden
dumb
dips.
decisions.
No sudden plummet of the IQ.
If they're going to die, they're going to die on their terms with all of their means and their capabilities at hand, because it just dumb decisions frustrate me, and the audience knows.
Yeah, especially when you have these kind of characters that have been so what's the word? They've been explored in depth, you know, like they're not just surface characters. Like you've really kind of started to peel below the surface. But I think we had a comment a little bit back. Oh yeah, Kay had mentioned, I'd love to know why Vel and Clea are so catty with each other.
Oh yeah.
That would be kind of one of the things I'd like to see. One of our little tertiary characters, Clea, out here.
So
I found
for
her
those who
fascinating.
don't know, for those who don't know, Clea is Luthen's assistant in the antiquities and artifact shop.
And we learned fellow rebel conspirator as well.
I don't know. I think she's kind of walking that gray line. I think she's just. I feel like she's gonna turn.
Really?
Do. Yeah.
Oh,
interesting. Either turn or go full Saw Gerrera. Like, who knows? Maybe she's working with Saw and we just don't know it yet. Because again, we haven't seen him in the first season of Rogue One, but Rogue One, you know what I mean, Andor.
Since Rogue One, yes.
We haven't seen her since Rogue One, but I really feel like I don't trust her.
Interesting.
And she knows about Mon Mothma, and I just I don't like.
That's a very interesting perspective. That's completely different from mine.
And
really
we don't,
funny.
and if you think about it, they don't have any spies that they know of yet. Like everybody's kind of part of the rebellion, or in Mon Mothma's case, part of the Senate, just kind of playing the game. We don't have anybody who's playing the game in the opposite direction yet.
Yeah, we just have the Tims and what was the other guy that did that? Who was the other one on Fair?
I just showed Alan that episode where Tim gets shot and
Tamarin. Oh,
he's just like, no, dude, what are you doing? And I was just like, it's even watching it again for the first time since it aired. It is so incredibly stressful to see the mistakes that man makes.
I don't think there's very many other characters in Star Wars that I dislike as much as I dislike that man.
I know, same. Oh my god, shut up! Why did you tell them?
I think the only reason it didn't escalate to like Sith levels of hate for me was that he died right away. First couple episodes, I was like, oh, Good. Now I
But
don't have
poor
to be
Biggs
mad at you
got
anymore.
roughed up in the process.
Mhm.
Yeah, Sherry's with me. I lean for her going full sauce. She was more strict about protocol than
Yeah.
Luthen. Absolutely.
She
Luthen was kind of like, hey, like he put on a good face.
Oh, he's the risk taker.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that okay, so I'm coming at you this a little bit of hardcore military going on here.
There you go.
And also, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you have never watched Andor with people who have not spent a significant amount of time in the military, I highly recommend you find yourself somebody and sit down and
He's
have a
right over
watch
here.
through with them. Oh, for everybody out there in the audience,
Ex-infantry.
let me know. I can
He
hook you up
knows.
with JB. I can have you have a little conversation because it radically changes your perspective.
For sure. Yeah.
So Luthen is the tactician. He is the one, he is the grand strategist. He is the one with the big plan. And he's the one that's pulling all these disparate threads. He's sort of a diamond in the rough fulcrum, right?
Mhm.
Like he's laying this web, but they're not connected yet because it's too dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And he is the one who will do whatever it takes to make it happen. It's like he tells Mon Mothma, she's like, people are suffering, they're dying. He's like, they have to suffer. This isn't going to work if people are happy or content or, they have to. He's an accelerationist. Very good, Kay.
And it kind of makes him seem cold and like unforgiving about it when you get down
He's just
to that.
separated himself from those feelings, right? That's
Sure.
not what this is about. And so how I saw Clea was she is his protege. She is someone who is completely capable of putting everything aside, all for the master plan. And she helps keep him on track too. Like, you're taking unnecessary risks. You know too much. If you go down, we're all screwed. I am not going to let you take this risk and put everything, and fascinating when I was watching it with, when I was watching it with my oldest son, and she reminded me of like an attaché, or in the Air Force we call it a DO. You have the commander and then you have the director of operations. So it's kind of like your deputy chief of staff kind of person, right? It's somebody that helps keep your head on straight, that helps keep your schedule organized, and is basically there to kind of check you. Like, they still take orders from you, but also they're literally the only person that can be like, yo, don't be stupid, in a polite plan. In a polite, respectful way. And so that was very much how I saw her. And also the other, the attaché, the adjunct, the chief, the aide, whatever, it's their job to keep everybody else away. They manage the schedule, they maintain the appointments. And that's why she was like, girl, what's she doing here? You don't get to be here. You were told, I'm sorry, you don't have an appointment.
She's like, one of those people.
They're like the front line of defense. And my oldest son said he thought,
go clean some coins.
That was so funny.
That was a great hysterical
line. That was really good. That he thought that Clea outranked Luthen in the rebellion.
Oh, really? So she was just kind of like put there for him to like stick to the plan?
Yeah, like he's this webmaster, right? And he's doing all this kind of stuff, but that she had a higher rank and that she was there to keep him in line. And I was like, that's so interesting. I didn't get that vibe at all.
Either. So we have a couple of new perspectives for Clea today, because I feel like we don't know too much about her.
Yeah, so he's going to sperm Gorman massacre. What's that? I don't know that one.
So, you hear it briefly mentioned in Rebels.
Okay.
The Gormans.
Yeah. That was the
it's in the EU. The planet. There was some kind of a rebellion rise up, and they literally in the EU they dropped a star destroyer.
That was where Thrawn was, right? Yeah. And that was where what's her name? Gosh, all I can think of is the former governor. That's not right. That she was the one, that was her decision, and that Thrawn disagreed with it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Governor Price. That's what you're thinking of. Are you?
No, and it was when Thrawn came back. He had that hiatus because there was all those books and everything going on in the EU, and then he came back and he had the new assistant.
Right. I can't think of her.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm blanking it.
But yeah. So yeah.
Price. Yeah, you were right. Yeah, Governor Price. Okay. Yes. You're right. Yeah.
Not crazy.
Governor Price. Sorry. It was her that got to take all the credit because Thrawn was against the tactical. Was that the Gorman massacre? Was that the planet?
I believe so, because if you look at Rebels, she just kind of
Yeah.
She just does what she wants without
Yeah.
thoughts.
And he was like, that was messy and that was despicable and you killed all these civilians and I would never have agreed to that. He's like, no, it wasn't me. It was all her. That was a terrible tactical decision.
Yeah. Just like
Yeah.
the gas tank blowing up in Rebels. Like, it's just, oh,
Yep.
I killed all these rebels. I killed a Jedi. Yeah, but you blew up our fuel tanks and ended our TIE Defender project. One now.
Yeah.
It's like that
So
kind of
I
thing.
would love, I have no idea. I hope we get more Clea in the future. We see what goes on there.
Yeah. It'll be
Um,
interesting to see which side of the coin she lands on. So,
yeah. I hadn't thought about people like going over to the Saw Gerrera side. Ooh, interesting.
yeah. Because we
What
have
if
someone who's supposed to be on the neutral side and in the Senate, and she's secretly working for the rebellion, but we don't have anybody who's quite in the
I was gonna
opposite
say,
yet.
what if
So,
Bix ends up there?
oh.
What if she just goes absolutely, she got nothing left to lose and she goes hardcore and she doesn't want to play sneaky aroundy anymore?
I think, yeah. Mark says the Gorman Massacre was a pivotal moment in the early Galactic Civil War and the
That was
declaration of the
best.
Alliance, occurring
The
in
protest.
2 BBY when Imperial Army forces violently suppressed peaceful protests.
Okay.
Mm.
Interesting. All right. So it's still several years away from where we are in Andor right now.
Right. So
About 3 years from season 1. Okay.
the way Andor is going to be broken up from here on out is each night we'll have 3 1-hour episodes. Each week, I should say.
They're releasing all 3 at the same time? No. I knew they were going to do that with the first one.
So they're going to be 1-hour episodes. It'll be 3 the first week, 3 the second week,
No.
3 the third week, and then
No.
3 the fourth week. And each batch of 3 1-hour episodes
Is 1 year.
1 year.
I knew that, but I
We're going
was
to be
like,
stressed the out, man. Yeah, we likely saw clips in the trailer.
ooh. Okay.
Yeah, it got real freaking dark with a lot of troopers,
Okay.
Sarah. So,
See, this is why I don't watch trailers. I'm already having trouble sleeping. I'm like,
panic.
I
I didn't even know what was happening, and I saw all those like civilians being pulled into the square, and just like a ton of stormtroopers around. I'm like, oh, absolutely not! What is happening here?
Little Tiananmen Square going on there.
History class tells me that's a no. So, well,
Okay.
yeah, be prepared to be stressed out for 4 straight weeks for that. Yeah, Sherry's like really messes with virtual Cantina Zoom. Oh, I know, because it's Tuesday nights, and that's usually when they have the Zoom chat.
Okay, so it's on Tuesdays, not Wednesdays?
Yep.
What is it, that thing where they drop it again like at 9 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, so it'll be 9 p.m. to, if you're watching it live, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Like 3. Yeah.
No, that's gonna have to be a go to bed early Tuesday night, wake up and have it with my coffee on Wednesday morning because this old lady can't do that
for 3 hours. I mean, you can watch like an episode or
Oh no. I mean, especially if we're gonna be doing daughters that night, like we gotta watch them all. It's gotta happen.
I know. So it starts on April 22nd, which is like, yay! They thought of me. It's the day after my birthday, so I'm just like
Your
really
little belated birthday present.
Yeah.
Yay!
Thank you, Tony Gilroy and Lucas. You guys are amazing. So I'm really excited about that. And at first I was kind of panicked because I'm like, oh, how are they going to pull this off if like each episode's a year? But it makes sense that they make it like blocks of episodes.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite articles that I read about it, is that originally Tony had planned to do it in full 5 seasons.
Yeah.
One season each year.
I mean,
they were about halfway through season 1 and he and Diego Luna sat down and they were like, we're never going to be able to pull this off.
Yeah.
Like we are going to be way too old.
This long?
Yeah, it's not going to. So what are we going to do? And so thankfully, that was one of the few smart moves that the businessmen at Disney have made.
For sure.
Is that they let them.
Yeah, Mark says the BCN is working on a plan to cover all 3 episodes in a manageable way for watch-alongs. I mean, yeah, we usually watch like, I don't know, Revenge of the Sith and things like that, and that's about 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
I'll just do it that way.
We just have to, reduce the chatter in between so that we can keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Housekeeping out of the way and just roll right into it.
That's right. One after the autoplay. No pauses in between. Maybe 5-minute potty break halfway through. That's it. That's all you got.
So these ladies have been incredibly badass and
been through so much already.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be multiplied by like 4 more years.
I'm not ready. And also, like, we don't even know what other ladies will get in the process. So
Right. New ones.
I, however, would like to see Bix get her, vengeance on a certain ISB agent.
Uh-huh,
Yeah,
uh-huh. That'll
because
be interesting if the two of them ever meet up again. You
yeah.
kind of have to wonder.
Mm. And
Hmm.
if she's running around with Cassie, and it's gonna happen sooner than later.
Probably, yeah. If Dedra is on the ground looking for him,
Because we know
I
she's been
wonder.
saved.
Yeah. And I wonder if she's going to be moving up through the ranks, if she's going to start running some meetings at the ISB, or if that's going to have a tarnishing effect on her career, the disaster at Ferrix.
Well, we do see a quick snippet in the trailer of her pulling at her collar like she can't breathe, like she's having a panic attack.
Little PTSD.
Ah,
Okay, interesting.
so we don't know. Maybe she's the one that flips.
Ooh, ooh. Go ahead and thought about that. That would
I
be
mean,
fascinating.
yeah.
So much
It
to wonder about. So much to accept. I'm
exactly.
so excited. It's almost
So we're
here.
we're a few weeks away. Actually, 20 days from today.
Right.
Woo! It is soon, my friends.
3 weeks. Here we are. A
Sherry,
forced
it
choke.
could be a force choke.
No, no,
Somebody,
no, 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 no force in Andor. No force in Rebel One. That was the whole point. Normal
I don't
people.
know. They had a Chirrut in Rogue One.
They did. They did.
He was a student of the Force, but I don't think he wielded it as a weapon. He just kind of used it
Yeah.
to,
He
to
just
guide him.
used his senses more. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it for the Daughters of the Women of Andor, the Daughters
Part
of the
2
Galaxy.
wrap
Yeah.
up. Hope
Oh
we
my gosh.
sparked some excitement. Had lots of
Thoughts.
interesting thought trains going on here.
Hmm. Lots of discussions, and we'll see if we're right in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to be wrong in all kinds of interesting ways. I'm sure people far more talented than I am have come up with lots of fun things to watch.
Oh yeah, agreed. So yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight on Daughters
Mhm.
of the Galaxy. Thank you guys so much for joining us and joining in on the discussion, and
Thanks for everyone sharing ideas. Much
yeah,
appreciated. It was good discussion.
throwing in your theories, and we'll see where it goes. We'll see who's wrong. It'll probably be me.
Oh, I'm
Me,
sure. I'm
me,
sure.
me and Mark have a immaculate
Record. Yeah, you guys are
projection.
pretty good at that. I love it when Mark says something, then I'm like, okay, so we know that won't happen. All right, moving on.
Yeah, but like I think he's gonna be right with Mon on this one. So
Yeah,
can't wait
yeah.
to see.
We'll see.
But
We'll see.
we'll be back after celebration. We're going to be off for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
But we will be back after celebration with all the news.
Yes, I was going to say, feel free to hop onto the VCN. We're going to have lots of running commentators, things coming in through the drop box, some friendly faces. So if you're like me, my family who are unable to head over to
The
Japan to
FOMO is
be there in
real.
person, come join our sorrows with a cup of tea and some bubbly water, and share the news with the stranded Star Wars family, extended family here on the VCN.
Yeah, so we'll be running News Desk, the latest news straight out of Japan during celebration. So you'll have Mark and Sarah and myself and JB and
Yeah. At least once he's
Bryce.
popping in.
We'll all be here just giving you the latest and the greatest
Mhm.
and losing our damn minds.
Yep.
'Cause
Sharing the love, Star
I,
Wars excitement.
I guarantee you it's going to be crazy fun. So I'm excited. All the FOMO is real. And make sure you guys have a fantastic time at the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition. There's
Yes.
so many awesome people behind the scenes, people that are part of it. So go have fun.
Enjoy. Meet lots of fun people.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
That's it for
Thank you
tonight.
all.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Take care.
May the
See you
force
later.
be with
May the
you.
force be with you.